Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. Back with us is Rohit Srivastava. He's a Chief Investment Officer and Portfolio Manager with Saroj and Bhanu Fund. He's going to talk about the update this last week with the AI-based algorithm that has predictive analytics using technical analysis. Take it away.
Thanks, Josh. And this we're on the week of 10/10. Starting with our disclosure that this is all for entertainment and there's no financial advice given here. We're not going and telling go and get crazy on some stock or anything like that. This is completely for education and learning purpose. Coming back, this is again the list of all the 19 stocks which the index consists of. We are talking about this as an equally weighted index, means like we would invest an equal amount of money in each of these individual stocks. So this was the state of what about a month ago. This was about like 2 weeks ago. This was last week. And this week, what we have is we see that we still in the downturn of that. It tried to turn around a little bit, but we can see that it turned around. And this was we talked about this index, which this support line of 475. It's retesting that 475 at this point. And the state has not changed much because it's tried to turn around a little bit and it reflected back and it's still retesting this 475 of the support line, and which is about 61.8% of the Fibonacci retrace. And we could also retrace to a 50%, which is about $3.90. So we will see in the next couple of weeks where it lands. So the two support points which we are really looking for is 425 or 390.
So the last time we saw that, for the people that aren't able to see this, that are listening, the last time it reached this level was January, like early January. And then before that was April of 2018 with the $3.90 support. So it is definitely trending down and could possibly break that 425 support heading to that 390 that we haven't seen in, well, almost 2 years.
That is correct. And it is the end of the year, so maybe a lot of, we had a good run earlier this year, so a lot of funds might be just taking profits out of that and trying to think about doing that the next year.
Real quick, what's your opinion about systemic risk? Because the entire industry is taking a hit, as well as other sectors. So is it political? Is it global? Is there anywhere that's not being hit right now? Do you feel like it's systemic or just a profit sharing, or individuals taking profit off the table from asset reallocation? I mean, what's your stance?
I think I usually base my my decision based on completely on algorithm. So if it says that, you know what, it is at a support point, then that's a point to watch. But my view, if you're asking my view would be that this is there's a lot of geopolitical stuff happening at this point. Also, everybody's talking about recession. So there is a kind of fear, but most of the time, what I have seen and what I have observed is things are always the opposite, which is when it is a fear, everybody's investing more. When it is everybody's investing more, some of the people are just taking back money. So at this point, I think it's more noise than anything else.
Well, luckily, this takes all of the emotions out of it. So
That's correct.
We don't have to deal with that.
That is correct. And that's what is that if we follow a particular algorithm, we just stick to the algorithm, take out the complete emotion out of it, and focus completely based on what data is telling us. So from a cash flow perspective, how much money in out is going on, this was like a month ago, and this is last week where it was, and this week it is still not turned around. Like we saw before that, you know what, it is testing the support of 475. It is still not cashed out. Like people are still dumping some of the stocks out of that and trying to take their money out of that. So at this point, what my thought process is, and what the data is telling us, is that we're still waiting for the signal to turn around. And once it is at a point where it is above the average daily trade value, that's the point we want to get back into this index. From the individual stocks, this was about like 3 weeks ago. This was last week, and this is where we are. So last week we sold one of these stocks, the Therapix, and this week we are going to buy one of them, which is the Altria Group, and we got into on 10.7 at a price of 42.17, and it has been just a couple of days, so it's not it has made a little bit plus side on movement on that, but on the other stocks we're still into that, which is the ABBV, the MBII, and PMD. So summarizing what we're talking about the index today is that for long-term investment, the index is retesting 475. It bounces back and it reaches to about $5.25. Then it might be a point to get back in, and we might see some action into that. But else, we might have to just wait for if it's going to retest the other two supports of 425 or 390. And for a short-term investment, MO is the stock which we got into this week at $4.17. So that's what it's the summary of the stocks related to cannabis at this point.
So all in all, just to wrap it up, it looks like it's still a pretty volatile market. Hasn't quite reached the support levels, trending downwards, and that double cup recovery is just kind of spilled, if you will. So you'll have to stay tuned and see what happens next week. So I want to thank my guest, Rohit Srivastava, Chief Investment Officer and Portfolio Manager with Saroj and Bhanu Fund. I appreciate you being on the podcast again.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So with that, we're going to wrap this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out.